In November 1997, 3 bodies were found stuffed into steel oil drums along a Mexican highway. They weren't rivals or soldiers. They were highly skilled plastic surgeons. Their crime? They were the men who operated on the most powerful narco legend in history, and they were the only ones who knew if the man the world thought was dead was actually still alive. Amado Carrillo Fuentes wasn't just a boss. He was the CEO of an empire worth an estimated $25 billion. That's more than the GDP of many countries. But as the 90s came to a close, Amado realized that all the money in the world couldn't buy a way out of the net closing in around him. He needed a miracle. He needed a new face. Amado started small, but he was a visionary. He realized that the old way of moving product trucks and tunnels was too slow. He joined the Warheads cartel and worked his way up, eventually taking control after his boss disappeared. He knew the future was in the air. This is where the legend truly begins. Amado bought a fleet of retired Boeing 727 passenger jets. He ripped out the seats, modified the fuel tanks, and created a private air force. He was moving 10 tons of cargo at a time. The DE could see him on radar, but he was so high up and so well protected that they couldn't touch him. How do you keep a fleet of jets in the air? You don't hide, you buy the sky. Amado spent roughly $500 million a year on bribes. He had the military, the police, and even high-ranking generals on his payroll. He was so powerful that he reportedly provided the planes for the government to use for official business. By 1997, the heat became unbearable. The U.S. was putting massive pressure on Mexico to deliver his head. Amado knew his luck was running out. He began liquidating his assets and moving money to South America. But he knew the police would recognize his face anywhere in the world. He decided to kill Amado to let the man survive. Amado checked into the Santa Monica clinic in Mexico City under the name Antonio Flores Montes. He paid the surgeons a fortune to perform a complete facial reconstruction and liposuction. The goal was to look like a completely different man. This was the most high-stakes edit in history. 8 hours into the marathon surgery, something went wrong. Officially, Amado suffered a reaction to the anesthesia and his heart stopped. The man who owned the skies was taken out by a single syringe. On July 4, 1997, the Mexican government announced that the Lord of the Skies was dead. When the body was presented, the strange things started. The face was unrecognizable, swollen, and distorted from the surgery, but it wasn't just the swelling. The body's build was different. His own family was split on whether it was actually him. The DE took fingerprints, but critics claimed the samples were tampered with. The most chilling evidence came from Amado's mother. When she saw the body in the casket, she reportedly stated, "That is not my son. If a mother doesn't recognize her own child, who was the man in the box?" Many believe it was a body double, a loyal soldier who sacrificed his life to let his boss escape. Years later, reports began to surface of a mysterious Mexican rancher in Chile who looked suspiciously like a post-surgery Amado. He had the same security detail, the same bank connections, and a fleet of private planes. Money from Amado's old shadow companies was still moving through Chilean banks long after his death. So, what's your take? Did he die on that table in 1997? Or is he watching this video from a villa in South America right now? Tell me in the comments, are you Team Ghost or Team Gone? Hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the legends who refused to be caught.